regardless, I'm good. Yeah, just working and learning.
Yeah, learning. Yeah. So I think we can start, right? We can
Yeah,
get, we
yeah.
can get on with. So the first question Shell someone asked was, I think it's a good question. Tell us a little about yourself and how you transitioned from your field of study to data science.
I'm Shelmith. My story is long and sweet at some point, bitter at some point, but I did my undergrad in actuarial science a long time ago. And then once I finished my undergrad, my dad, whom I love so much, thought of that it would be wise for me to join a master's degree. So I wasn't sure what kind of master's I wanted to do. I was sure I didn't want to do my master's in actuarial science because I felt, I don't know, I have my own reservations about actuarial science. So I hustle and tussle. I really didn't want to go back to school because I got advice that sometimes it's not good to go for masters directly after undergrad. But anyway, had a discussion with dad, and he was like, you know what, just go. So once I joined my masters, that's when I started teaching, and I joined Professor Waititu in his R classes. Now I had done R in school as an undergrad, but just the basic part. But then I got to assist him with his classes. I got to know more about R, and then lectured. I don't know for how many years, maybe two or around two-ish or one and something. And that point, I remember. People used to find R very hard. There's one student who approached me and asked, like, where will this R even help us in life? And I was a teaching assistant at that point. So that question, definitely as a teaching assistant, you have to be broad enough to be like, there are use cases out there, blah, blah, blah. But then when I went home that evening, I was like, by the way, like, how will this R help people? And so I remember picking my phone and searching, like, how can we use R in Kenya? And from there, I think that was that's when the journey began, just by Googling how can we apply R in Kenya. I got to see about people in Kenya and beyond who had done amazing stuff with R, like plotting beautiful graphs, tables, modeling, blah, 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 blah. I landed on this website by one guy called Vincent. I don't know whether it's Vincent Granville. I don't know his name, kabisa, but he used to post awesome stuff on his blog, and I was like, wow, there's more to R than what I know. So during that time, I remember that time I left JKUAT. I was teaching in Nyeri and Karatina. So I used to live with my parents. I used to wake up for those days. So as a part-time lecturer, you don't have classes every day. So I will sit down on my dad's sofa and decide, today I'm learning how to use ggplot. Today I'm learning how to use dplyr. Today I'm learning blah, blah, blah. Anyway, fast forward, I started getting interested in this thing, and I was like, I'd rather analyze data rather than teaching. I met a friend of mine called Gabriel. I met him on Facebook. He had a page. I think he still has it, called Statistical Programming. I traveled all the way to Nairobi to just meet with him. Then he told me how the project he was working on. We just had an awesome conversation. That's when I got to know that Python can do data analysis, because I knew Python as a dev thing. And I just became interested. I used to work on small bits of code. Then I was like, you know what? I think teaching is not for me. I'm going to start looking for a job. I looked for a job, got rejected, given that I didn't have any background experience in data analysis per se. But that's when Busara picked me as an undergraduate, not undergraduate, as a junior data analyst. And they taught me so much. And within 1 year, 2 years, I had grown to become a senior. So yeah, that's my story. I stayed in Busara for, I think, 2 years. Then I decided to transition, but that didn't go well because I felt in the next job I joined, I felt I wasn't growing as much as I needed to. So I left in Jan, and I've been working on small projects here and there. I think that's enough with me. Oh, and then, okay, also I lead communities. That's how I met with Eric. I'm a co-organizer of NairobiR, and I also happen to be a member of the leadership team of AfricaR. So AfricaR is just a consortium of our user groups in Africa. So we support people in different countries in Africa to come together and learn R the best way they know how, and even share material with them and share what awesome things they're doing in their country, just to bring us together as an R community in Africa. That's the goal of AfricaR, and it's been amazing. I think through AfricaR we met with Eric. He's been able to come up with the Dekut R community that I'm totally proud of, and yeah, we hope we can have as many R clubs in Africa, not just in Kenya, and that's my goal as a community leader. So yeah, I think that's enough about me. I don't know what I left out, Eric.
No, you said almost anything, almost everything. I mean. Yes. So yeah, thank you so much for that intro about yourself. Yeah. So Shell, there's you have mentioned something about you doing statistics and all. So there's someone who asked, is data science only for people who do statistics, or anyone can transition into it?
Always encourage people. No, you don't really have to have done BSc statistics, or to me, I didn't know BSc in statistics. Also, we were being taught actuarial symbol, you have to know statistics. So let's say you didn't do statistics at all, and you want to delve into data science, you have to know statistics, because there are some of these concepts that are in data science that you have to understand. Things like hypothesis testing, confidence intervals, predictive modeling. There are things that you have to understand about distributions, stuff that is handled in statistics. So I always encourage, okay, you don't have to have done a BSc, but look for an online course somewhere that will teach you statistics 101. It's really important, because once you start delving into data science and you will meet with clients who want some work done, and you have your results, how are you able to present your results analytically, and that will set you apart from other kind of data scientists. So for me, and that's my personal opinion, I think statistics is a must-have. Yeah.
So I'm asking, like, the people in Python say like R can't do everything that Python can do. So what do you think?
That's usually a very tricky question. Let me tell you. This is how I answer the question. So when someone tells me, R cannot do what Python, I'm like, please tell me what Python can do, what you think Python can do and R cannot do. Just give me one or two or three. You will realize such people don't have answers. So in Kenya, especially, okay, let me talk about Kenya because I'm a Kenyan. I feel as though people are always talking about Python or R, like Python is better than R or blah, blah, blah. But then, have they really tried R to know that Python is better? I don't like such statements. One time someone made such a statement and I asked, oh, really? Okay, so tell me your experience using R the last time you used it. And they were like, I've never used it. I'm like, then how do you know? How can you even compare Python and R? And I don't like the debates Python and, because they waste a lot of time. I'm a data scientist and I use R and I pay my rent and I earn from R. So there's nothing anyone will tell me that Python can do, R cannot do. But if there is, I'm happy to listen. I'm always happy to listen. But I don't want, it's not fair when people make blanket statements without supportive evidence. So that's my opinion. if you get that question again, please ask people to give you a list. I wish someone will actually just talk about something. Tell me something that Python can that we can do in Python and we can't do in R. I would love to know. But yeah, that's my take.
I'm asking. I'm from the Python side, so I'm not really sure about R. In Python, we have to know some basic things, like you have to know numerical Python or pandas to be able to wrangle your data and such things. So what will you know in R that will make you a data scientist? Like, what are the basic things you need to know?
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. And thank you for telling me you're a Python person. I don't know why I assumed that this meeting will just be for R users, but it's okay. In R, you have definitely things you have to know. What you need to know first is data science is not the tool itself, right? Let's put the tools kando, the R and Python kando. What is data science essentially? What do you need to know? You need to know how to work with data. You need to know how to extract data. You need to know how to clean data. You need to know how to analyze data, generate variables. You need to know feature engineering. You need to know all that, right? Then now bring in the tools. The tools will only help you achieve that. So we have Python pandas. We have the tidyverse system, right? Pandas, whatever pandas can do, tidyverse will do. When you have the NumPy stuff, you also have some of the mathematical operators in R. You have the mathematical operators in R. So to get into data science, first of all, you have to have the knowledge of what exactly data science is and what it entails. Then I'll bring in the tool and work with data. Like if you want to generate a variable, or you want to, factorize a variable, or you want to fit a model, do you understand what this model is all about? First of all, without Python R, like if I bring, I think you're Bethany, I can see your name is Bethany here. So if I bring Bethany in one room and someone else who uses R in another room, and ask both of you to tell me about a logistic model or any model, will you be able to explain it to me without even having to mention Python and R? So those are the things that for me, I think one should know. But then again, it's good to start from somewhere. So I think, I don't know, just learn tidyverse, learn some base R concepts, learn tidyverse, learn how to fit models in R, and you're good to go. That's my take.
How can one be certified? What site can one use to be certified as a data scientist?
Okay, so certification.
Yes.
Are certified as a data scientist? That's different.
Yeah, like.
What do you mean, certified?
Like the way you can have like to show that you know how to wrangle data and to use data science tools.
Wow. I think there are very many online courses that can do that, like online platforms like Coursera, we have EDX, we have Udemy. There are very many online courses out there that offer certificates. We also have Data Camp. So you just enroll for the course you're interested in. They take you through it, and if you excel, they give you a certificate. I think that's what you are asking.
Oh, yes.
Okay, asante.
So I have another question.
Yes.
Hello. So I have another question.
Hello.
If
Yes.
you're new to, if you're not from the technical side, you're an untech student, maybe doing business or something of the sort. What is the best approach, or what way can you be able to learn data science?
Wow. So if you're coming from the business side and you're not a tech person, I think at the end of the day, you'll still need to learn how to code, but I think there are online courses that that start you from the ground up. You see, online courses are different, right? There are online courses for those people who know how to code, and then there are those courses for people who actually don't have a background in coding. What I've seen is for those people who don't have a background in coding, they're usually offered an introductory course in either coding in R or coding in Python, away from data science, just simple things, learning how to do to work with different data structures, and then from that point now, you're taught data science, but maybe the theory part of it, without even having to code, because that's important. Learning the theory behind data science, how to address client questions, or how to advise their business, such things. Because, at the end of the day, we are trying to learn data science or use data science to improve businesses, let's say in Kenya. So for me, I always believe data science, communication and being able to understand a problem is part of that. So if we were to approach Jumia, for example, right now, what can we tell them? Like, if they gave us their data, what kind of business problems can we help them answer? You see, that's not even R, Python, that's not even code. That's being able to know how to think analytically or critically. How can you solve the problem? You see, that's part of data science. But then that's just the initial part. When it comes to delivering the actual out, you have to fit a model, and fit in that model, you have to have some skill in coding. So I think for such people, coding is inevitable. And for me, I would advise, before you actually get into the real data science courses, it will be good to have to go through an introductory in coding course. Let's call it Python 101 or R 101. Yeah.
I'm here, Shell. Yeah, so so sorry about that. Yeah, so thank you, Shell. Or still there's question someone asked. I think you have mentioned about it. Can R do stuff like image processing and deep learning like other languages like Python can?
Can R do stuff like image processing? Yeah. Oops, there's a very loud bird outside my house. But yeah, I don't know whether you guys have seen it's a revamped website for our studio. They're calling it the AI blog. There's TensorFlow for R, there's Keras, packages that you can use to fit things like convolutional neural networks. I'm trying to open it right now. I don't know, Eric, am I able to send a link on the chat? Hello?
Yeah, you can. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on your side because you're not in our group. But
I can't.
Yeah, you can. But
okay.
I know I know the book.
It's actually, there's a book and then there's a blog. So if anyone, for the people who are listening to me and for those who are interested in that question, just go to Google and just type our Studio AI blog. You will get a lot of stuff to do with image processing and all that. Yeah.
Okay, Shell. Thank you. That question was really repeated by a lot of people. So as Shell has said, I also think asked you at one point I wanted to do stuff about it. So thank you so much. Yeah. So and there's one interesting question that is coming in about in deployment.
I usually love that question. Are you asking me whether R can be used in deployment?
Yes. I only hear Colin Fay just talking about it. I've never heard anyone talking about it, and hardly. And is it really used in deployment?
Yes. Well, you say about you only hear Colin Fay. No, it's not that you only hear Colin Fay talk about it. It's because Colin Fay is the one who decided to give a talk about it in the recent Saturday South Africa event, Johannesburg. But I don't know if you guys have access to his presentation. He was talking about the companies that use R, such as Netflix, BBC, and Uber. And people actually have, for those who don't know who Colin Fay is, he's a data scientist and R hacker in ThinkR. ThinkR is a company that is based in France that is used for trains people how to use R, and they do a lot of awesome stuff. Please check them out. And he was explaining about how different companies use R. And something I really loved, two things I loved from his presentation is his definition of production. When you say, is R used in production, or how can we deploy our product, what exactly do you mean? I find a lot of people, especially people around when I go for meetups, R cannot be used in production. Like, okay, what is production? Like, explain to me like a baby what production is. We have to understand that part first. And then he also says that the problem with R in production is not really R itself, and it's actually not it's not really about R or the tool or whatever. It's more of the culture and organizations, like have we tried as Kenyans to actually productionize an R output or an R product, Again, as software developers, which campus in Kenya teaches our developers how to work with R? Because you see the people who are working at our studio, we have software developers at our studio. People like Romain, like these people who make these packages and stuff, even the people who worked on this R Studio API, these people are developers themselves, These are people who learned how to work with R from a software development point of view. But do we have that in Kenya? I don't think so, but I stand to be corrected. So yes, in his, I won't talk much about his presentation, but you will see how even ThinkR themselves use R in production, like they deploy most of the work that they do. So let's first get to know what exactly is, what do we mean by production? And for when I walk in the streets of Nairobi and someone tells me R cannot be used in production, I'm like, oh, okay, please show me a Python output or Python product that you have developed and is actually been ran in production. Like most people who talk about this don't even have anything in production yet. So I think we just have to be very cautious with the discussions we are having and not bash other people, arrow, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? I don't care what people say. People need to research more. That's all I will say. But yes, R is used in production. And please learn how R is used in production by even a company like Uber and Twitter and all those big names.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shel. Okay. The Colin Fay thing, I had him mention stuff like Facebook, Twitter, Uber, and I was really impressed. I had no idea about that. So thank you for emphasizing that. So there's a good question here that came in that is asking, how is the about how R brags about its awesome community? So what role do community play in learning R, Python, or any other data science?
Wow. If there's anything I appreciate about R is its community, because and this is my testimony. While I was starting some years ago, I was learning stuff, but I really didn't know, like, I didn't have a mentor in Kenya per se. I didn't know what to learn, what not to learn, what to do, blah, blah, blah. But then one time I attended a certain event and my computer was stolen. and I didn't have anything to do. It was a whole coding event. So I remember I just got on Twitter. I used to have a Twitter account, but I wasn't really active. And I remember that time we were being taught about computer vision in Python. And I was like, are we sure these things cannot be done in R? So I started just Googling on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. As in, I started Googling stuff, and then I landed on Twitter. And I remember the first time I saw the hashtag #RStats, I was impressed. I was just seeing people doing a lot of things in #RStats. That time I had begun working as a junior data analyst, but still I didn't know, like I was still green. So I could see people post stuff in #RStats, blah, 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 blah. And that time, that year was the same year I got to know people like Hadley Wickham, Nini. And I was like, wow, nice. And sorry, most of the time I could post a question even on Twitter. You know, I'm working, let's say I have a question, I have a bug. I will just post it on Twitter. There are times I used to post on Twitter a lot, my R questions. Then I will just put the hashtag #RStats. Then people will answer. People will give me what do you call it? Alternatives of debugging my code, or maybe I was just interested in learning something. People will give me links. I was like, wow, like who knew? Because I remember those days, those were the time parents were like, social media is a time waster, oh blah blah blah. Like I remember telling my parents, like, for me, if I was to obtain a PhD, I think I obtained a PhD through Twitter, because I learned so many things. And for me now, that is how the community helped me. I got to interact with many people on Twitter, and I followed their blogs, I followed their works. I got to learn a lot. And I remember that year, I just started learning stuff, and that's the same year I learned Shiny. And when I learned Shiny, I was like, wow, you want to tell me you can create dashboards in R? Like, who knew? And I went to work on the following Monday, and I told my boss, you know what, we should start pitching this to clients. Then he's like, go come up with a prototype. So I came, learned how to use Shiny, came up with a very simple dashboard and deployed it on shinyapps.io. And my boss was really happy. He's like, we can do this, you know. So for me, that's community, you know, learning what people are doing out there. And I know we always talk about Hadley, but sometimes I log on to Twitter and see Hadley post something, not even Hadley, any person. Like today I learned something and I was like, wow, okay. How you can color, you see how you can have your piece of code where you want maybe the function to be a different color. I've shared it. So for you people who follow me on Twitter, you can see the latest thing I've shared. You can color your functions a different color, or blah, blah, blah. Like something that looks very small, but to me it's very important, especially when you're creating a blog post. The same thing I learned about a certain package called PAR. You know, I was so used to for loops. I went on the community sites. I saw people talking about PAR. So I'm one person who is usually, quote unquote, washed when people are talking about something I don't know. So I'm like, what the hell is PAR? As in, I thought we were comfortably using loops. And so when I went to learn PAR, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is nice. And I learned PAR at the beginning of this year, and I've been using it ever since. Like, I don't see how I can do away with it. So yeah, the community is very, I don't know, it to me, the community has made me become very strong in my work and very good at what I do. And also the fact that, and this is what I tell my juniors, you can't sit there, like I can't sit there and ask myself, but hey, what is Eric working on nowadays? Like, we have to start thinking globally, you know. What is Hadley up to? Right now, they're just about to launch the deployer version, I think 1.0. I can't remember the version. I'm like, okay, fine. What is someone else working on? Some lady called, I think Apres Hill. I know her at Apres Hill, working on tidy models.
Yeah.
Working on tidy models. I'm like, okay, wow. What is tidy models? Like, what are they used for? You know, if we stuck with our local thinking, and no offense to anyone, we will never know what the outside world is doing. And that's what the community is all about. We have data for DS community. We have a Slack channel where people post different stuff, and for me, that's how I've grown. I totally thank Twitter, and I totally thank the community. I don't know whether this community, we have such a community in Python. I don't want to compare, but I insist, if there is anything that we are proud of as our users, is the community. As in, I thank God for that. And I thank God that people are able to share their work online, because if people didn't share their work online, we would never learn. So for me, the community is awesome.
Great, Shell. Yeah. I also started with that. Twitter has really helped me in my data science, growing in data science, and following you. Yeah. So yeah, I tend to think that Twitter is like a school for R stats or something.
Yeah.
Because every people are like sharing, like I've done something, however little, I share, and then the community is very welcoming. They retweet, they tell you can do this, you can do this. Yeah, so if you really want to get into R, please, Twitter can be as good as a book. Yeah, in my opinion.
True.
Yeah, so Shell, another good question here. What are the fields of employment for data scientists, especially here in Kenya?
We have several, but something I've started being very interested in is marketing analytics. I don't know, I've always been thinking about Jumia forever, since I was still a lecturer, or rather a teaching assistant. How can we, and let me tell you, first of all, you have to understand what data science is, because data science is different in different companies. And I won't lie, there are people who will take data, clean it, come up with summary graphs and tables, blah, blah, blah. That's data science to them. Others will fit models. That's data science to them. Data science is different in different companies. For me, data science is all that. For me, being a data analyst who can fit predictive models that can be put in production, to me, that's data science. And so one can work as a marketing data scientist. You want to advise Jumia, especially right now when things are thick because of the coronavirus. What should they do? Who should they sell their products to? And it starts with a simple data analysis task, but then now you reach a point where you're doing some hypothesis testing, you're fitting models, you're carrying out A/B testing. I remember there's a task I applied for a German job, and there's a task they gave me, and the title was a marketing. It was a marketing data scientist. It was some title, and they gave me this data and told me to tell a story. So it was data taken from their website, and they just told me to come up with a report, something that, like, 3 KPIs that I could obtain from the data. And it was amazing that they really loved my work, although competition is usually stiff, especially when you're applying for a outside job. But yeah, as in, you can work in marketing. There are people who are also working in agriculture, like trying to fit different models. There are people, my sister is doing what do you call it? She's doing a master's in biotechnology, and she's using R to analyze genomic data. And I was happy to teach her how to use R. But you'll be surprised at how, like, their data set is kind of different, and they come up with different things, but it's all R work. You can also see there are some people who work with R in medicine. There are very many. I think it's about us to Google, but for me, I usually know of the things I'm interested in. So someone should actually come up with a list of data scientist jobs in Kenya. We have people in banks. We have natural language processing. What's his name? I can't remember this guy's name. Like Brian Mohia, he's a data scientist who works with NLP. We have data scientists who work on computer vision stuff. So it just depends on what you want to do and where you want to settle. Yeah. Hello.
Okay, Shell. Well had. Yeah, and I think your sister should check out the introduction to our studio conference 2020. It was about how people in genomics are doing great work.
Yeah.
Yes, so there is that. So Shell, another awesome question here. It says, I think this person quoted hardly. It says, R is a beautiful language, well tailored for data science. How do you think can increase its adoption in Kenya, like in other parts of the world?
Nice. I feel as though that question has stabbed me in the heart, because that's one of my missions in Kenya, Live Alone Africa. I think for us to increase the adoption of R in Kenya, first of all, we need to be ready to learn. Lazima tujisomeshe, you people, because some of us have degrees. Yes, I don't know how many people in this session are in school and how many are out, but you never stop learning. We have to, first of all, be willing to learn beyond what we were taught in school. That to me is my first thing. The second thing is be willing to teach other people, because that's how we are going to spread this thing in Kenya. Be willing. It's not about kujisomesha. Like if I jisomeshad and then never trained people, what use does it make if I'm the only data scientist who uses R in Kenya? Like, it doesn't make sense. You have to be willing to share your knowledge with other people. Number 3, please work on pet projects. What is a pet project? A pet project is a project that you work on and no one is paying you for it. It's just something to build your portfolio. And my people, let me tell you, building portfolio is the best thing you can ever do to yourself. When companies are employing people, they want to know, what have you done? Not what you did in school. I have never been asked for my undergrad or master's papers. No one has ever. In these jobs I've had, no one. They are just ask for my CV, what have I done and what can I do? And that's why when we are carrying out interviews, we give people data tasks. I don't want to know whether you got a D+ in G what or a B- in what, or you got I can't remember grades at campus. We used to have A's and B's and C's. Like, especially for me, I don't care. If I give you a data set, can you work? Can you analyze it? And for me, pet projects are like when I'm going through people's CVs, I want to know, what have you done before? Don't just tell me I've worked for Cooperative Bank. Okay, fine. What have you done exactly? Tell me you took data from Twitter and you came up with this word cloud that was used to. Boom, that's what I want to know. And for me, those are pet projects. An example of a pet project, I don't know how many people know this, but an example of a pet project is what I did the other day. I just looked at the KNBS results and I was like, now who will use these results in their PDF format? Surely. Then I asked myself, I'm a Kenyan data analyst. What can I do? Like, we can use this data, we can scrap this data and put it in a package. That was just an idea that came, boom, even to in my idleness. I remember we were talking with some people about having this data as a competition for NairobiR, as a NairobiR hackathon. And I sat down and I thought of doing it. And trust me, I was telling Eric the other day, while I was doing it, I didn't know how important it's going to be for people. For me, I was just trying to work on something to pass time, first of all, and also to learn how to create packages and also how to scrape data from PDFs. And it worked out. And boom, look at all the attention it's getting. That to me is a pet project. If I go for my next interview, someone asks me, what did you tell us about a project you've worked on? I've been lucky to work on projects I've been paid for, but I've also worked on such projects where I can say, I did this for 3 weeks and it's now being used to do blah, blah, blah. That to me is a pet project. Something else we need to work on, which marries with whatever I was telling, training each other. We need to involve ourselves with community work. And community work is what will help spread R in. Like before we started NairobiR, or rather even before we started AfricaR, yes, there were people who are using R, but walikuwa chini ya maji. The companies that were using R were, I think, Busara and I don't know, very few. Right now, people are actually asking, wow, what is R? You know, what can R do? What can blah, blah, blah do? And through that, that's when people in different companies, the C-suite guys will be like, you want to tell me R can do this? Then we need to employ someone good in R, you know? Imagine a company that has been using SPSS forever. Then you come and tell them, you know what? Instead of SPSS, why can't we use R? Because we have R Markdown. Why can't we use R? We'll produce the results in our Markdown where you can integrate your code, your story, your documentation, and your plots, your models all in one document. How cool can that be? Why can't we use R to create dashboards instead of creating Excel dashboards? You know, for me, when I join companies, I'm always talking. I'm telling them, you know what, this is what we can do. And for me, I long for a time when young people will have the guts to speak to the CEOs and the C-suite guys. Just ask for some 10 minutes with the branch manager. Go tell him your ideas. You'll be shocked at how much some of these people are very willing to accommodate our ideas. And where did we get these ideas from? Did we get them from Kenya? No, we got them from the Hadleys of this world, you know. The role of community work is to enlighten each other. You see, so if someone comes to NairobiR and we teach you how to use Shiny, when you go to the Dankemathi for a Dekut session, you teach them how to work with Shiny. If that person moves from there, goes to Kisii, teaches them how to use Shiny, at the end of the day, the whole country will know that we can develop dashboards in Shiny. And employers will be very interested, you know. So for me, community work is important. The last thing is, and this is something our Kenyan universities are trying to do, is change the curriculum. You people, most of you, I'm hoping, I don't know. My guess right now is that most of you guys are still in school, but the curriculum is changing and I'm loving it. I've been called to various curriculum meetings to discuss the curriculum itself, and I have cancelled a lot of things out and included things that were not part of that. I'm like, this will not help, because I went through the same system and I was taught something that didn't help me. So why should I allow my small sister who is in second year to be taught the same thing? You know, so curriculums are changing. They're adopting R, especially the statistical, statistical courses, the MScs in statistics. Like, theory is important. We are not refusing. Theory is very important. Thank God we were given theory knowledge. But theory knowledge is not enough. Like, I have certain interviews where I have interviewed A-grade material. They know theorems, Rao-Blackwell theorem, all those theorems we read in wako poa sana. But then they're not able to work on a simple data set. And to do a simple thing as coming up with a table, just a table. How many males, how many females are in this data? You think this is something small, but this is something that an employer somewhere will appreciate, or a client somewhere will appreciate, you know? So theory, again, is important, but we need to also add beef to the curriculum by adding more practical sessions. For me, I dream of a time when every unit taught, every statistical unit taught should have a practical part of it. If it's hypothesis testing, let's go to the lab and carry out practical sessions on hypothesis testing. If it's logistic regression, let's go to the lab and do the same. If it's a simple probes one thing, frequencies, let's go to the lab and come up with the same thing in R. If we start that from first year, second year, third year, by the time people are even getting into fourth year, you're going to see yourself getting contracts and consultancies from people out here. Like, you won't even need to look for a job. You know, for me, tukifika hapo, tutakuwa tumefika. And that's it. I think that's how we can improve adoption of R in Kenya.
Nice. I'm so thankful you mentioned people learning for themselves. You know, like what I see uko nje ni there's a data science curriculum in undergrad, but in Kenya we hardly have that. In Kenya, it's you to teach yourself and try and teach someone else. So good person.
Let me add to that. Let me tell you what happens. I know there are 2 campuses in Kenya that have come up with the courses, the data science courses. But you know what will happen? If Shelmith and 100 Shelmiths or 100 Erics go through an online course and learn data science, then now these campuses will come to you. They're like, Shelmith or Eric, are you willing to teach our students how to fit models in R? Or, like, we are the next lecturers in campuses. We are the next people. We are the people who are going to take this up. I think right now the difference between Kenya and the outside world is, I believe some people who are in academia in the outside world are also working on different corporate projects. I may be wrong, which is different from Kenya. I feel as though most of our lecturers are just lecturers. They're not really exposed to the outside world. And so now there is a disconnect. And I know these things will change with people like Professor Magoha. You're going to see, and even Strathmore are doing this. Strathmore are having lecturers who are working in different companies. So if many of our companies will adopt this, we will be in a very happy place.
I have another question from the form. You said there are so many online resources to learn R, to learn Python, but what if I'm not good with online courses? What are the different organizations that offer data science courses in Kenya?
Different organizations that offer data science courses.
Organizations, schools, yeah.
I know of, there's one that came up recently called Jenga School. I don't know whether you've heard about Jenga School. They had their launch today.
Yeah.
We have Jenga School, which is a data science and AI thingy. Then we have Moringa School. Then we have Zuka. Zuka offers data science units or training in R. Which other one? Predictive Analytics something lab, I think. Which other one? I also do some. I don't know whether I qualify to be like a course provider, but for the last 3 months, I've been teaching people data analytics in R. But I don't know if there's anyone forgetting. But yeah, but let me tell you, that's in Kenya. But again, Bethany, I think back to the point I was talking about, it's good to support our Kenyan entrepreneurs, but we also need to think globally. Because you will be surprised that whatever I'm training people, maybe, is the same thing I got trained at EDX or data science or data camp or whatever. This global platform. So it's not really, I don't know. I wouldn't tell you that there's an advantage of going through these courses as opposed to going through an online course. The thing is, online courses need discipline. Where there's an online course I bought in 2018. Sijai but God is good, I'm still there. I'll maliza it one time. My dad always asks me kwenye nimefika. I don't know. I learn it pole. It's like a lifetime thing. It's not at year 2. You can, as in, you have the course forever. This is a Udemy. I bought it. There was a sale one time. I bought it at 1,100. I've remembered another course being offered in Kenya called Conflux AI. I don't know whether it's Conflux. Yeah. Let me Google. Conflux AI. But anyway, courses ziko mingi. Yeah. Another question?
Okay. Another question
as we
is, I think there are two more to go. When you're learning R, do you need to know base R, or you can just learn tidyverse and go with it? Do you need to know the basics?
I really think it's important to learn base R. Simple things, simple things like, and this is out of my experience. If I want to quickly generate the minimum age of a certain data set that I have, quickly, like vitu tu za mbio mbio, I always type min, M-I-N, on the comp and then data frame extract that variable. For me, I use base R as a quick to go thingy just to check my data here and there. And we learned R even before the tidyverse system for us, the older people, the older generation. So I've come to learn tidyverse, I think 2 years ago. About 2 years ago. So you'll find my code, I mix both. So to answer your question, I think it's important because sometimes you just want to do things haraka, and it's just good to, most of the courses you're going to find out here will teach you base R first and then get to tidyverse. But for me, I use tidyverse for I use base R for simple things. When it comes to generating variables, doing all these types of stuff, I've really adopted tidyverse because tidyverse is just easier to use. So I don't know whether it's a must. For me, I would recommend people learning, and not everything, just basic operations and doing stuff to dogo. But when it comes to things like subsetting data, I know there's a base R function called subset, but for me, I'll always use filter. So I think we just have to choose our struggles. What are you willing to learn in base R? What are you willing to do with tidyverse? But again, I will recommend.
Okay. The other question is about tidy models. So the question is, how does the tidy models come in machine learning with R?
Nice. Let me tell you. In 2017, 2018, while I was working at Busara and fitting models, I remember I got introduced to the Carrot system, and it was just hard to understand the Carrot package. I don't know why. So I could find myself using fitting models, using kawaida like base functions too, vitu za haraka. I'm very grateful for Max Kuhn, Alison Hill, and all these people who are working on tidy models. And I'm also envious of you people who are getting into machine learning when tidy models is new, because I think your journey will be smoother than ours. Tidy models has come to make life very easy. Oh my God, like very, very easy. I was going through material that Alison Hill presented at our studio conf, and I was impressed. Like, they have made tidy models very easy to use. So tidy models, for someone who may be lost, tidy models is just meta package of packages that are used for statistical analysis and fitting models. A meta package is like the same thing as tidyverse, a package of packages. So the good thing with tidy models is that it follows the same grammar of tidy models. Like you can use mutate in there, you can use pipes, you can use nini. So if you're good with tidyverse, your journey with tidy models will be amazing. So the basic sorry think of basic things we do while we are fitting machine learning models. At first, you're reading your data, then you have to split your data to train and test, right? There is a package in tidy models called rsample that is used to do that. Then after that, you want to carry out some feature engineering, or maybe even you carried out your feature engineering before you split, whichever you prefer. There's there's a very awesome package called Recipe. Recipe will help you do a lot on feature engineering, and it has awesome function. Sorry. It has awesome functions. Then you go fitting your model. There's a package called Parsnip that is used for fitting the specific model you need. Then we have a package called Tune that is used for hyperparameter tuning. And then we have a package called Yardstick that is used for evaluating your model. So Nikama, I feel as though Max Kuhn and the group are these people who they pick you from your house, put you in the balcony somewhere, they wash your house, they cook for you, they wash your vyombos, and then they pick you back and come bring you back to the house. As in, they've made life easier for us. And for me, I would encourage anyone who is working with machine learning in R, please, please, please indulge in tidy models. You're going to love it. And recently they came up with that, I think it was there, but now it's officially out, a tidy models website where you can find different materials. People have written blog posts about tidy models and different materials too, and you're going to be impressed. And for me, I once thought of taking this as a project, but I got very busy. And this is my advice to you guys. Think of a pet project. I know we're a mix of people who use R and people who use Python. And this goes with modeling and also computer vision things. I would want you people to hook up, like be in pairs and decide, today we are fitting a logistic model using, what do you call this? Tidy models. And we're also going to use scikit-learn, you know? So one person is in Python, another person in R, use the same data, get results, come up with very beautiful, what do you call them, documents explaining the results, and then compare the process. The results should be exact. You know, like Tuliani, Ketini, see which one is easier or which one works for you, which one does not work. The Python person will tell you it's easy with Python because of 1, 2, 3. The R person will tell you it's easy with R because of 1, 2, 3. And then from there, I wish you can even come up with a blog post saying logistic regression model in R and in Python, or survival vector machines in R and Python, convolutional neural networks for MNIST data in R and Python. We need such things. And you'll come to realize that this whole talk is just talk, my friends. It's just talk. So I will encourage you guys to jump into tidy models. It's amazing and you will love it. And Max Kuhn, who is the lead in the tidy models development, is the one who wrote or developed Carrot. So if you're using Carrot, I would advise you to stop using using tidy models, because Carrot has, I think it's development of Carrot ceased. Yeah, so right now we are in tidy models. Any other question? Last question, I'm tired.
Hello, Michelle. Well, that was awesome. I've shared some links. The one you are saying about R and deployment. I've shared the tidy models website on the chat, and also some of the books that can get you up and running with R and machine learning, including the deep learning, the deep learning book. Yeah. So one last question, Shell. This is just a random one. Maybe something I could have asked you like some months ago. I don't know data science. I'm not from any statistical background. What should I do? Should I just dive in? I should look for some courses to do some prerequisites? What is your opinion on that?
I think I've already answered that question. I think when you were having some technical issues, the same question that I've forgotten her name. Is it Beverly? Someone. She asked if someone comes from a business background and they don't know how to code and they don't have data science knowledge, where should they start? So for me, my advice was, I think coding is inevitable, so you have to learn how to code, but you also have to learn other aspects of data science that are not about coding, and then also see how they can marry into, they can marry into whatever you're doing. So yeah, just learn how to code mdogo mdogo and look for resources that teach data science theory, not even about coding. But at one point, you'll have to code because data science coding is inevitable. You have to learn how to do that. Yeah.
Okay, Shell. Maybe before you go, maybe someone in the audience whose question was not addressed. Maybe it's an open forum now. Anyone, please?
Hi guys. Hi Shell.
Hello. Hi.
Hi Eric.
Hi.
Okay. Maybe I can just say my name because I've just joined some minutes ago. I don't know whether you will allow me to proceed.
It's okay.
Okay. I had some problem with power. My phone and my laptop were both off, but I just took someone's computer and started doing some stuff so that I can check whether I will defend you. Now, Shell.
Yes.
There are some questions I had posted yesterday through a certain link that you shared through ELC. Is it ELC Tech Hub? You know the group? Okay, so maybe someone shared. So my question is, I don't know how. Okay, in the field, what is happening in the industry? How does maybe data science does it in data science do we have too much voluminous data, or else how can we leverage the big data technologies into data science? Because sometimes I think the data is not so much voluminous such that it requires big data while doing the data science. Or how, okay, in the industry are the same stuff going together? I don't know whether you have gotten me.
I'm not sure if I've gotten you, but to repeat something I said earlier, data science is different. Data science is different in different companies. In terms of big data, well, where I've worked, we've not actually worked with big data per se. Things to do with I've not had to learn things to do with Hadoop, MapReduce, or blah blah blah. Those tools.
Spark.
Right. Yeah, Spark is of it, but though I've not figured that point. But I'm a data scientist and I've worked as a data scientist and a data analyst rather. But I will believe maybe in other companies they do that. So I don't know what each and every company does in Kenya. Disclaimer, I don't know that. And I think I will throw that question back to you to do some analysis and get to see of the data scientists who are in Kenya, in the companies they work in, what exactly happens. Because I'm thinking there are places like big banks, maybe they have so much data, so they will really need to use big data technologies. But I'm not really sure. I can't list the companies down per se. Yeah. But please, I don't know what's your name. I didn't get your name. Just as maybe do that.
My name is Muimi.
Okay, do that assignment and then let us know. But you don't have to, if you're starting out in the industry, you don't have to start from big things, such big things. Just learn simple concepts and then grow from there. I'm also on a growth journey, by the way, Miss Jafika. I always tell people I'm a senior data analyst, but I'm a junior data scientist. I'm still learning. I'm still learning stuff. So I'll approach people for them to teach me how to use Spark. Spark is what I'm currently thinking about learning. And imagine you can teach me.
When it comes to big data, Spark, I can show you some stuff too. Okay,
So
just the final one.
Wait.
No.
You cannot
Okay.
wait. Let me tell you, you cannot know everything. That's another thing. You cannot know everything. I don't know whether you've ever had what's his name? Hadley give a talk, and then he was asked something, and he's like, by the way, I don't know. And I'm like, we don't know everything. People don't know everything, and we have to accept that. So yeah. For me, I don't know how to use Spark, but I will learn with time. I think because of time, let's give someone else a chance to ask. You can always reach me via LinkedIn or Twitter. Hello?
Oh, Muimi, I was just saying, Muimi, thank you. Thank you for that question. We'll reach out to you on using Spark. Thank you so much. Yeah, so anyone else with another question, maybe? Okay. So, okay. So, Shell, thank you. Thank you for. I think it's a wrap now. I'm buying time for anyone to think of another question.
I have a question.
Oh,
I have
great,
a question. Hello, my name is Lorraine.
Hello.
From my background is electrical engineering, and I wanted to, first I want to ask I've also joined the project. Are you focusing only on data science using R, or you're covering both R and Python?
So, ideally, it's supposed to be
covering where?
The discussion. Are you focusing on data science using R or data science using R and Python?
So Lorraine, ideally it's supposed to hello, pardon. Ideally it's supposed to be R, but Python 2 is we don't have a problem. It's open. It's just open.
Oh, okay. Because I have no knowledge with R. I have more on skills on Python than on R. So I wanted to ask. I also want to venture into this field of data science in now the electronics part. So my question: do these online certifications, with already the knowledge I have with Python, I know I have to learn more about the mathematical side, the statistics, and about do the certifications from Udemy or Coursera, are they enough for me to call myself per se a data scientist, or do I have to go to a school, an actual school, to learn? Will the skills that I gain online be sufficient for me to venture into this field? Hello.
Okay, Shell, you're there? Okay. So maybe as we wait for Shell to come, yes, Lorraine, I understand you. I'm also from an electrical engineering background. Yeah, so I stand to be corrected, but I think what makes you a data scientist, as Shell was saying, is the projects you do. Can you take maybe data that was really bad and take it through the whole process of data science? I think including deployment, including big data, all that process. Can you do that? And in my opinion, if you can do that, then that can suffice you to hop in the field, because I see I see a person like Julia Silge. Okay, Julia Silge. I mean, she's a data scientist at Art Studio, but she did astronomy, like stars, everything. But she was like, wow, I can take my astronomical data, clean it, do some predicting, some predictive analysis, cluster the data, and wow. So she was like, if I can do this in data from astronomy, then I think I can do this in other types of data. So she takes that and she does stuff with it, and wow, she lands in Art Studio. So I think, in my opinion, if you can take data in any field, like in our field, it's mainly IoT, electrical, electrical data, voltages and all. If you can take that data, and try to make meaning out of it, I think that can suffice. In my opinion. I hope that's clear. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, you've answered. Thank you.
Yes, and as Shell said, it doesn't really matter the language, else we finish up the session.
Eric, just one more, please.
Okay.
This is Moemi again, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, yes, Moemi.
Can I proceed? Okay. Now I'm just concerned about one issue. Now that I've come late, I don't know what you had talked about, but I'm sorry for taking you back. So, like, do you have a group whereby we can be meeting? Because I know there is other stuff that I may be needed to ask. Maybe do you have a group like WhatsApp, like whichever that I can join, so that I can continue learning and maybe sharing my ideas.
Bethany. Hello. Okay, so Bethany was there. Yeah, Bethany can answer that question very. Mimi is asking about joining, where we do all this stuff. All this stuff goes down.
We have different groups, so it depends. Are you a university student? Or you already done with campus? Just us.
Yeah, I'm done with the campus.
Okay, we have the WhatsApp group for Microsoft Tech community, but that's mostly for general. But then we use Teams for communication. So you can, I'll share the link in the chats. You can sign up to be part of the Teams. So when you come to Teams, there are different channels. We have the MSP Kenya group, then different channels. We have the AI and data science group channel, and that is headed by me and Eric. So you can talk to Eric about R and the way. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So you can talk to Eric about R. I'm mostly in Python, so yeah.
I'm also in Python.
Yeah, we'll share the link in the chat. Okay. Join our channel. Then if you need anything, my email is bethany@studentpartner.com. So you can just email any of us. But we mostly use Teams for communication.
Okay. Thank you, Bethany. Yeah, so the email to Bethany is bethany@studentpartner.com. Yeah, and I'm just writing it down on the chat. Yeah, so bethany@studentpartner.com. My email is eric.wanjao@studentpartner.com. Yeah, so anything the research issue, you can reach out to us if you want to share or if you want to learn. We are open to everyone. So yeah, I think now we should maybe call it a wrap or something. Hello, Shell, are you there? Maybe last thing you want to say? Okay. Great. So we hope you enjoyed the session. so Bethany will also organize more Python-ish related stuff. It was happy having everyone in the community R or Python. And yes, so thank you for joining us. And maybe I should say this, I don't know if Shell is here, about the tidy models and everything. We could have a session with Appress Hills maybe at the end of the month. So we are still seeing about that. So yeah, many exciting things are coming. So just tune up, we learn our Python all fields, and we see how we can scale up together. So thank you for attending, and I think that's it for me. So bye. Maybe Bethany is one who handles Python. Maybe Bethany, do you have anything you'd want to say?
Oh, so for Python, we meet on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. East African time. Yes, I think that's all.
Okay.